Hello and welcome to Legally Speaking with me, Tarun Nangia. Today is indeed one of those days which I can call a special moment and a special show that we are doing. And why is this special? Because beginnings are always special. It takes a motivated group of individuals to get together and start something. And beginning is often the toughest. There are many hurdles that have to be overcome. It also needs new initiative and new thought. And what is this beginning that we are speaking of? It's the beginning of the Arbitration Bar of India. In an economy which is about $3.5 trillion, very soon going to be $7 and $8 trillion, disputes are something that will increase. And a country like this needed an arbitration bar. Better late than never, but we are soon going to see that day. Is the 11th of May at 4:30 p.m. at Bharat Mandapam, which is at Pragati Maidan, that world-class facility that the government of India recently built. That is where the launch is going to happen. And the key individuals who are supporting this initiative are with us on Legally Speaking today. Let me introduce to you uh, Mr. R. Venkatramani. He is the Attorney General of India. Good to see you, sir. And thank you for your time. And thank you for your support to this initiative that you have wholeheartedly given. We have with us Senior Advocate Gaurav Banerjee, and he's a very well-known arbitrator and somebody who has spoken for the cause of arbitration all these years in India as well as internationally, and a broad name for India and international arena with regards to the work he's done. Good to see you, Mr. Banerjee, and thank you for your time. We have with us uh, Tejas Karya. He's partner and head of arbitration at Shardul Amarchand Mangal Das, one of India's leading law firms. He has extended his support to this venture and this initiative. Good to see you, Tejas, and looking forward to some interesting insights from you. Given the position that you sit at, you are part of a lot of big arbitrations, and what this venture or this initiative will bring onto the table, you will share with us today on the show. We have with us Shashank Garg. He is standing counsel, the government of India. He is somebody who's very passionate about arbitration, and I have seen him being involved from many years on everything to do with arbitration. If I speak, it will take a long time. But as you hear him speak today on the show, you will figure out what Shashank Garg is about. Good to see you, Shashank, and looking forward to some interesting insights from you. At the outset, it's a privilege and an honor that we have the Attorney General of India, Senior Advocate R. Venkatramani, making the opening comment. Sir, this was the vision of the government of India. We even heard the Prime Minister that he wishes that the world arbitrates in India. And with this thing happening, if in the next 3 to 4 minutes you could share your opinion and and what will be achieved with this, over to you, sir.
Thank you so much, Tarun. I think the moment is one of delivering to ourselves the world of freedom in one sense. So I think we are talking about moving from diffidence to confidence. Scattered areas of our engagement in the world of arbitration and moving away from globally domesticated thought processes, right? Globally controlled thought processes. So that's why I thought it was important to look at this initiative as dreams plus urges. When dreams become urges, we have initiatives of this nature happening. So the very vibrant team you have today, and more people will join us in the quest for what I call moving away from diffidence to confidence. We've been talking for quite some time about institutionalization of the arbitration world. And we've been thinking that by doing that, India will be able to carve a niche for itself in the world of arbitration. That is very true. And that's an important, probably important element of the whole free economic thought and free citizen participation in all affairs of life. Well, there are so many bar associations across the world, associations of lawyers, and every such association has a background. But this association, I visualize, will not be merely confined to the Indian shores. I think it has a global outreach, which I'm sure as more and more committed soldiers join this association. And then we have several experiments which are happening in our country. While many of them have been court-driven experiments and court-driven initiatives, we thought it's important to have a citizen-driven initiative. I don't mean to say citizen versus court is a conflict or antagonistic. No. Because certain initiatives coming from citizens have a sense of relevance and their reach. Court initiatives have a certain very confined or narrow areas of operation and ability to what call make people become part of it. There is always a wall of separation. Okay. So, but then citizen initiatives stand on a different footing. There are many ideas which each one of us have shared in the past 1 month. And I must tell you, the couple of days after my appointment to the Attorney General for India, there was this SIAC conference in Delhi. And the minister from Singapore, Minister for Justice, were having a dinner conversation. It just thought came to our mind so spontaneously that we're taking stock of what's happening in London, Paris, Singapore, Australia. A thought came to our mind that it's time that we'd have a New Delhi convention. So we've been moving towards that very slowly. And I suppose the Arbitration Bar of India will be a great first step towards a New Delhi convention on a wide range of international dispute resolution processes and initiatives. I consider this not merely a bar, but something beyond that. So as long as you can have unrestricted, right? Or a world where you can explore without being constrained by narrow frontiers of thought, I suppose we can achieve wonders. I am so glad that the initiative is happening at a time when I am holding this office. But the credit does not go to me. I suppose many ideas are ideas of a time. So this is one such idea.
Thank you for that wonderful opening comment. Indeed, I myself feel privileged to do a show when the Arbitration Bar of India is to commence in India. These are things that one gets to see once in a lifetime. I think we are all happy to be part of this occasion. We will go to Gaurav Banerjee, senior advocate, a very eminent arbitrator. And let me tell you all that promoters from across not India, but even internationally are looking at this development. They are stakeholders in arbitration. And that is why it is the general counsels and the promoters who want quick dispute resolution and also of the allied issues rising out of arbitration. And that is why they will also look forward to such a bar. And keeping that in mind, I want to request Senior Advocate Gaurav Banerjee to share his thoughts.
Tarun, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's really a red letter day for us. And we are really privileged that the Attorney General is sort of blessing this and this initiative. A lot of people have behind the scenes and here also contributed to setting this up. We've been discussing this for a long time. We should have a specialized arbitration bar, but it has finally happened, and it is a credit to a lot of people. So I think it's a time for celebration. And I just want to put this in perspective. I mean, when I started, arbitration was like, you did it in the evenings, you had a cup of tea. It was like a retirement job. Today, the world has moved on. And if you analyze this carefully, the courts have helped by some pro arbitration judgments. Of course, there have been some hiccups. We will not go into that. The government has made a huge effort. 2015 amendment, 2019 amendment, IIAC set up. So government has been very, very proactive. And the arbitration culture domestically has changed. Nobody can deny it, whether you're in business, whether you're a lawyer. And even this morning, somebody came to me, young lawyer, said, "Sir, I want to do arbitration. I want to specialize in arbitration." So the moment here is, the crucial point is, everybody else is doing their bit. Surely arbitration practitioners have a duty to do something. We all have a duty to do something. We may have been individually successful, but what are we doing for our next generation? We have to have a setup where you foster excellence, where you have best practices, where you have I have been throughout the world, and Indian lawyers are supremely talented. Let us not go away from the fact. It's just a bit of guidance that they need, a little bit of steer, a little bit of professionalism, and just if we can start and continue from where we have started with uh, the AG there, uh, people who are established, otherwise, Tejas, Shashank, etc. All we now need is to help the younger generation. They have so many aspirations. It's an aspirational society. If you have a group of youngsters, men and women, who are otherwise very good and want to do this, it will be an asset. Obviously, arbitration practitioners will benefit, but more than that, business will benefit, the country will benefit. It's a great platform, and the amount of enthusiasm that I see is incredible. So I really feel this is a special moment.
Indeed, the special moment. Now I take this to Tejas Karia. He is the head of arbitration and partner at Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas. You're in the thick of action, Mr. Karia. And as far as all things arbitration are concerned, and you're in the firing line of both the arbitrator and the client. So if you could share your views on this positive development of the Arbitration Bar of India being set up.
Thank you, Tarun. It's my pleasure to be on your show. And this is a watershed moment for the world of arbitration. We have been waiting for this occasion. This was a much needed initiative, and we are really grateful to Learned Attorney General for India for guiding us through this process. What has happened is that in India, we are all doing arbitrations across, but there is no consistency. And what Justice Sri Krishna in his report also recognized is that there is a need for a specialized arbitration bar. This is an era of specialization, and unless and until we have people who are doing full-time arbitration coming together and creating a ecosystem which boosts the confidence of the users. Today, when we talk to the clients, they are losing confidence into the arbitration process for various reasons. The reasons are surprises in the process. Whereas the arbitration is supposed to be the most simple process, it is not an alternative to the traditional dispute resolution because it is a only method by which you can resolve commercial disputes. And ultimately, the Indian judiciary across have been really, really supportive of the arbitration. The legislature has supported arbitration with the amendments. What we need to do is that foster that kind of a confidence in the users and ensure that we get the bar coming together, do full-time arbitration 9 to 5, Monday to Friday, as we do in other jurisdictions. As Mr. Banerjee said, we are no less than any other country who is doing arbitration. What we need is recognition, professionalism, ethics, and expertise getting recognized. We need consistency in our practices, because what is happening is in India, we are inconsistent in our processes. We wear two different hats when we go abroad and do arbitration in the other jurisdictions. We see that we do the arbitration differently than we do domestic arbitration. So what we need to bring it is that best practices, international best practices. Diversity is also equally important. We need to create an ecosystem where we have the young lawyers being trained to become arbitrators eventually. We are no less in as compared to other jurisdiction when it comes to arbitration, where we can sit as arbitrator in a dispute which has nothing to do with India. Why we are only involved in an arbitration where India is a seat or Indian law is governing Indian law. We are English speaking, common law jurisdiction, well trained, and we have every ability to sit as arbitrator in jurisdictions across the world. What we need to also do is attract the investment, build the confidence, reduce the backlog by bringing efficiencies. So that these are the goals of our arbitration bar. Apart from that, we also want to be very active in policy making. So we want to work with the governments and the stakeholder to ensure that whatever changes are needed, we plug those loopholes, and rather than getting criticized across the world for not following the best practices, in the arbitration, we get quick change in the law, or we assist the judiciary to ensure that the correct law is laid down whenever an issue comes up before the arbitration related to arbitration. And we have done that in past, but now with this collective effort, what we think is that there is always a strength in the number, and this will be going to be a pan-India initiative. This is not restricted to metros. We are seeing a lot of arbitration in two-tier cities, and we have excellent lawyers doing arbitration. So what we need to do is also attract the talent to the arbitration and make a career out of an arbitration as a full-time. It is no longer a part-time or evening or a weekend practice. We need to have specialists, we need to have full-time practice, and we also need to have a recognition of our arbitration practitioners by the judiciary and by international community who is doing arbitration. So what we ultimately need to do is align ourselves with the international best practices, bring credibility, bring consistency, efficiency, and also the quality of the practice of arbitration by promoting arbitration. And what will happen is that this bar will allow like-minded people to exchange ideas. We will have a lot of knowledge sharing, training, and also ability to create a very, very strong practice of arbitration, including mediation and other alternative dispute resolutions combined, which is the need of the hour. Maybe we are late, but it's always, as you said, better late than never. And we are here with the launch of Indian Arbitration Bar.
Yeah, as you said rightly, better late than never. And at this moment, we are now having to invite Advocate Shashank, Standing Counsel, Government of India, also an arbitrator, has strong views on the subject of arbitration and India's role on arbitration. Over to you, Shashank, for your views.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Tarun. While everybody has already thanked the learned Attorney General, I cannot, at the cost of repetition, not do this. I must thank the learned Attorney General for extending his support, because as you know, this idea has been floating for last 10 years or even more. And at each important, crucial conference, we heard the need of setting up a specialized arbitration bar. Not only that, the Law Commission recommended it. And it really, several discussions over coffee and drinks have happened. It really took this time and the leadership of AG sir to have inspired all of us to come together for this defining moment. Now, what should be the scope or the role of this arbitration bar? I mean, there is so much that you can look at either on the east side or the west side. But when it comes to conduct of arbitrators, there isn't much. And that's where I think the general counsels and the industrialists and the ultimate user has been suffering. We have heard various kind of issues with respect to how the arbitration is being conducted, and also no consistency in how the arbitrators deal with crucial issues in arbitration. Of course, a lot of it is based on soft law. What we have is the Arbitration Conciliation Act that gives a very, very broad structure for the arbitration to be conducted. But because of the confidentiality requirements, a lot of it, if there are any issues, particular pertinent issues happening in the arbitration, nothing comes out and it really remains in the closed doors. So we've had various examples which require some sort of course correction in future. And I think a voice was needed for the arbitration community. Like Mr. Banerjee said, and Tejas also mentioned, we are one of the top users in the world now. Any institution you talk about, we would be either number 4, number 3, number 2 in terms of cases that are going from India to those international institutions. We are not, we are not shying from learning from, either the West or the East. But learning is enough. I don't think we need to be dictated on how arbitrators should be appointed and how our arbitration should be conducted. Of course, there are issues where we need to get our house in order, and the bar should focus on that. And I believe that we'll be setting up standing committees and task forces which will in due course come out with SOPs which will be helpful for the entire fraternity of arbitration. And as Mr. Banerjee also mentioned, we also need to set up some mentoring initiatives, because the arbitration bar must, whatever we have learned, whatever we are learning, must be passed on to the aspiring arbitration practitioners. So some of these initiatives, while have been taken by different groups at different times, I think the time has come for all of us to do that in a united way, to give arbitration practitioners the voice that they need in the backdrop of how the Indian economy is surging, and so would the disputes. Thank you.
Thank you, Shashank, for that frank intervention from your side on the industry part. Where you rightly pointed out that they are the ones who are the end users, and they also look at these things very closely, because they also look this as a forum where they can address their issues. I also feel that with such an institution, the arbitration bar coming up, best practices that this bar will lay down will have to then be followed by all arbitrators. Other healthy practices like peer review of awards, if that were to happen, that could also I'm just throwing ideas. I don't know if this will happen, but just one of those things. So we will now go to a round of closing comments, and if this could also encompass that with this bar coming into existence, what all things we could look at. Could we look at best practices in arbitration, standards that a bar in a communication will lay out, that these are the standards expected out of our arbitrators in India, and every member should follow. So on and so forth. There could be other things. So we'll start with the Honorable Attorney General of India, Senior Advocate R. Venkatrami. Over to you, sir. This is a closing comment.
Tarun, what all we can do, maybe too ambitious a thought today, right? But I suppose it's important that we gather many ad hoc thoughts which have been happening over a period of time. They're ad hoc because we did not have a center where they can be structurally exchanged. We've been having a lot of conferences, and we've been talking about many of these, what's called principally the institutionalization of the process from various angles. But why it did not really happen? And then probably I think for one good reason, that the initiatives were not very strong. And the persuasions were also not very focused. It was left to few individuals here and there, and few, let's say, judicially engaged in initiatives. So now we needed something cementing all of them. So when cementing takes place, I suppose many new creative engagements of all our minds will happen. So I think what's important is probably we can enlist all possible things we can achieve in the next 1 year or so. But I'm not going to look at that for the time being. First thing is, let us congregate. Let us get together. The very act of getting together itself is a great message that we're going to do something in due course of time. All of us have those ideas in our mind. When there are many people who are not now in Delhi, but spread in different parts of our country, and who have wonderful ideas. But as I said, the congregation getting together structurally and inviting people on a structured basis is, I think, the great initiative. And that once that happens, many things will fall in place. I only look at things falling in place as naturally as the spring season comes and the flowers blossom. I would put it poetically like that.
Very beautifully put. The spring season comes and the flower blossoms. May the bar blossom into, I think, a garden of ideas, and also standards that this will set in the coming days. Also, I've always learned from elders that accumulated institutional knowledge is very important for youngsters. I think this is where the accumulation of institutional knowledge will happen at the arbitration bar. I will go to Senior Advocate Gaurav Banerjee for his closing comment.
So, Tarun, in the spirit of congregation, obviously there will be a large number of ideas. Everybody has their own vision. And I think today we should be celebrating not individual vision, but the fact that you will have, 2 plus 2 will become 22, because there will be so many people contributing. So I will contribute my 2 bits today also. There are a large pool of very bright individuals who are already specializing in arbitration and are doing this full time, and they really don't have a voice. They are people who should be considered for seniority, for elevation, etc. Like you have people who are in the tax bar or other specialist bars. Arbitration is also a recognized international specialty. So that is also part of this, that we must give recognition to our talent. And once they are given recognition, even business and everybody will, I remember how much I look forward to my designation. What a big moment in my life it was. So I think this also is an aspect to be considered. That's just an idea. I don't want to say any more at this stage. Let's see how it goes.
Okay, we'll see how it goes. Thank you for your closing comment. I go to Tejas Karia, Head of Arbitration and Partner Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas, for his closing comment.
Yes, what I feel is that the success of this bar depends on the involvement of large number of people who are specializing in arbitration or wishes to specialize in arbitration. Today, we see the younger generation coming to us and say that we want to specialize in arbitration. What do we do? Here is the answer. The answer is that get involved with the arbitration bar, and you will see the magic unfold, because that is where we are going to discuss everything relating to arbitration. What really worries anybody who is using arbitration system is enforceability. And enforceability has to be kept in mind from day one and not when the award comes. So from day one, from the appointment of an arbitrator till the award comes, and reducing the challenge to the award. Today, we are challenging the awards, the largest number of challenges in any country on against the arbitration award, that would be in India, if I'm not wrong. So we have to reduce that burden on the courts. What we need to do is that have impeccable award, which is perfect in terms of the procedure, in terms of the reasoning, and also in terms of the ethics. So these are the real concerns we have, and we need to eliminate all these concerns by providing simple and straightforward answers. By training our experts who are already experts should train the next generation and take this initiative forward. This is going to be a lifelong project, and it cannot be successful unless and until everybody takes wholehearted participation into this initiative.
Thank you for your closing comment. We go to Advocate Shashankar, Standing Counsel, Government of India, and arbitrator, for his closing comment.
I'll be very brief, Tarun. I think one issue that we have all flagged in various talk shows as well as conferences is the inconsistency in how our high courts across the country deal with arbitration matters, whether it is a Section 11, whether it is a Section 9 or a Section 34, how it will be dealt in a city like Delhi or, other high courts. There is never any consistency. And despite same sort of issues, despite the law of the land being consistent, we feel that, there has to be some sort of an SOP that needs to be brought in. And once the pan-India bar of arbitration practitioners is united, I'm sure it will also encourage consistency in how the courts decide these matters, will also reduce, the time frames that some of our high courts are taking in the country, which is much, which requires immediate course correction, to say the least. So I think the setting off of the arbitration bar will certainly assist the Indian judiciary in also inculcating, some SOPs and best practices for quicker and more efficient dispute resolution.
So thank you for your closing comment. Indeed, it was a pleasure to record this show. All of you, I would also be posting the link for all you to join physically the event at Bharat Mandapam, which students and many other people can register, as also the video link which we would be sharing on social media for people who can't come physically to join and watch this day, which is the 11th of May, 4:30 at Bharat Mandapam. It's a 1.5-hour program. I'm sure all of you would like to log in and watch and hear the eminent people who are going to articulate the views that evening. I would like to thank the Attorney General of India, Senior Advocate R. Venkat Ramani, Gaurav Banerjee, Senior Advocate, Eminent Arbitrator, Tejas Karia, Head of Arbitration and Partner, Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas and Company, Shashank Garg, Arbitrator and Standing Counsel, Government of India. You all made time for this very special show on a very special moment in India's history, where for the first time the Arbitration Bar of India is being set up. Thank you for joining in. Thank you so very much.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.